former President Trump claimed that Shauna Gray's vegan restaurant was doing better in his presidency compared to Joe Biden's administration. Governor Ron DeSantis has enacted a ban on production of the sale of lab-grown meat, citing consumer safety and potential harm to traditional beef and poultry industries. Plant-based cheese controversy, where Climax Foods vegan blue cheese won a prestigious award but was later disqualified due to an alleged non-compliance with competition rules.
What's up, guys? We're the Annoying Vegans, and we bring you perspective, validation, laughs, and we have some interesting news stories for you that we're gonna bring up. But Alex, I'm interested, how's your weekend?
I didn't do too much. A lot of errands, nothing too fun.
Boring.
It's
You didn't do anything this weekend?
I did some. I went to the store. I did some things, but nothing too crazy. What about you?
I did go to the Mavs game yesterday, and we did the Western Conference Finals. So
Go Mavs.
yeah, it was a tough game. I obviously lost most of the game until the very last second, and I had a really bad headache throughout the whole thing. So I was struggling myself. But hey, we made it, so.
Made it through. You suffered just as much as Lucas. So, well, today's going to be a little bit different. Today's going to be a little bit different than what we usually do.
It's going to be different because Alex is going to choke.
We're going to edit that, but I guess we can keep it all in. Let's keep it going. So today we're going to do a little news topics and kind of getting our reaction on certain news topics that have been trending lately and kind of revolving veganism. So the first news topic that we're going to talk about today, and this one is something that happened a couple of weeks ago, where former President Trump had a rally in Waukesha, Wisconsin, and kind of out of the norm, he was talking about vegan and veganism, and we'll show that clip now.
We're honored to be joined today by Shauna Gray, who owns a vegan restaurant, supposed to be really good. I'm not into the vegan stuff, I must say, but I'm going to have to try this. When we come here in a short period of time into Milwaukee, we're going to come and try that vegan food. I don't know if I'm going to like it. You get ready for me. Maybe you can convince me with that vegan food, okay? You get a good, healthy vegan food. 3.5 years ago, she was doing better than she ever did during the Trump years. She said, I'd like to have Shauna come up for a second and say a few words. Thank you.
It is very important that we change what is going on now. None of us can continue to go with the Biden administration. We definitely need to make this house party over. We need Trump in 2024, so make sure.
So with that clip, former President Trump claimed that Shauna Gray's vegan restaurant was doing better in his presidency compared to Joe Biden's administration. Now, there's a couple facts that kind of came out after that the restaurant was opened in 2023, and the actual business that the business owner opened, Gray Jet Enterprises, actually opened November 2021. So that was all after when Trump left. But I think one of the bigger takes from this is not necessarily what was said, is that he actually said it and that we actually see that, like, he was promoting a vegan business during his campaign stop and allowed a vegan business owner to actually speak. Now, speaking I didn't think in my mind kind of encourage veganism, but it kind of put the name out there, right? It just maybe allowed other people to hear about veganism that probably won't ever think about veganism. So I kind of wanted to get your take on that. What do you think about that, Mike?
I think there's a lot in there. So first of all, obviously Trump is going to say, like, it was, it's successful because of me. So we don't even need to get into that. I think that's hilarious. But I know they were making fun of him saying the word vegan, like vegan is as vague. Like my grandmother pronounces it like that.
Vegan?
So vegan, yeah.
Like, even if you hear other people saying vegan, like, how do you still say vegan? Like, do you not hear the little differences?
I'm sure he doesn't really hear it that much. And so my thing is, I saw the Veg News, our Facebook posting about this, and I saw a lot of the comments, and some of the comments were pretty mixed. Like, some people were like, yeah, at least he's promoting it. And I think that's a good thing in a sense. Like, maybe it's not promoting veganism itself, but I think for more people like on that side, I think I said it before, like, we need all kinds of people at the table. We need all kinds of vegan. Veganism is not just for liberals. It's not just for white people. It's not just for a specific group of people. And I think there should be vegan Republicans, there should be vegan conservatives, there should be vegans of all different age groups. Some of the comments were like, we don't want you, Trump, or, oh, we don't want to be represented by this. Or it might seem like it's more of a thing for people on the left side of things because we're animal lovers and we're hippies, I guess. Like, But
Yeah.
you might argue that there are certain like conservative principles that align with not really trusting the government and wanting to take matters into your own hands, not trusting the food and agriculture industry and pharmaceutical industry, and just wanting to take it into your own hands and wanting to put the health of yourself into your own hands and not kind of trust what the government and stores and things have out there. Because a lot of times, let's just face it, like that stuff is not really good for you. There's a lot of contaminants and things like that. So I feel like people would resonate with that on Trump's side of things. You're in your groups outside of like your vegan community. I don't even know necessarily if you have a vegan community, but let's say that outside of like the people you might have that you know who are also vegan, you go into other spaces with people who are not vegan, just like at work or other friend spaces, family spaces. For more people to have awareness of just the term vegan is helpful because it then exposes that to those groups. And maybe, you know, in a couple of years, you might go to your family function or work function where there's a lot of Trump supporters. And one of them was like, you know what? I was in Wisconsin the other day and Trump name dropped this restaurant and I decided to check it out and I thought the food was delicious. And I decided I'm going to be vegan a couple days a week. And now you go to this, you know, work function and this person is there and they have a vegan option for you because there's two of you that are vegan now. So they're like, you know what? There's two vegans. We're going to have vegan options now.
So PETA actually ended up sending President Trump a care package to Mar-a-Lago with some vegan snacks and vegan plant-based burgers for him to try. So I'm not sure if he will, but it's kind of cool that, you know, based off just that one type of, hey, here's this vegan restaurant that, like we said, there's a lot more attention on veganism, and PETA doing the right thing of trying to share that the vegan snacks with the former president. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So like politics aside, like you said, just to hear former President Trump even say or try to say vegan, but just mention veganism at his campaign rally and to promote or at least bring up, a Black woman who has a vegan restaurant in Waukesha, Wisconsin. It's just like so many like, wait, what? But it just shows that veganism does reach all kinds and it reaches all areas, regardless of where you're at. Wisconsin, like very much kind of rural-ish as far as like most of the state, and a lot of farms, a lot of ranches, I'm sure. And although, like you said, although it may not convert him and it may not appeal to him, it's really cool to actually see this happen, and as far as like him just giving a platform to others to say, hey, maybe this is something I can look into. Maybe if Trump said it, because kind of the way his following is they follow him, what he says very closely. So like if he says something about it, then maybe I can look into it further and see if that's something that I would be interested into. And like you said, like conservatism, it kind of reminds me of like what's his name, Waldo, the nature guy who like went into like the wild and stuff. He had a lot of like poetry and stuff in regards to saving the wildlife, and a lot of quotes on just conserving like our planet. And so although conservatism in our political US sense is not necessarily the same as conserving the planet, there are some I think there's some parts of veganism where conservatives may like that, like you said, as far as not trusting authority or not trusting like the big corporations. That's very much veganism. We don't want mass production of animals. So but I also see that like conservatives, they're definitely much more aligned toward being meat eaters, I would think, than progressives and left-leaning people. But in kind of relation to that and what we've been talking about, there's another article to where I don't really know what to make about this.
You will not be seeing any lab-grown meat on grills in Florida. Governor Desantis made that official today, signing a bill that bans the manufacture and sale of cultivated meats.
Take your fake lab-grown meat elsewhere. We're not doing that in the state of Florida.
That's the message behind the bill Governor Desantis signed Wednesday. It takes aim at meat grown by scientists in a lab, making it a crime to manufacture or sell cultivated meat in Florida.
What they want to say is this is the same as raising cattle and doing it naturally, then there's no reason that you have this industry. So it is designed to represent a threat to agriculture as we know it.
And supporters say the new law offers protections to Florida's cattle industry.
It's never been more important than today to protect Florida's farmers and ranchers, and that's what this legislation does.
But opponents say concerns about lab-grown meat are overblown. Federal regulators have already said some products are safe and ready to eat after receiving FDA approval last year, a point made by cultivated meat industry members during the legislative session.
Cultivated meat is safe, period. We make our chicken with a safe process in a safe environment, and USDA inspectors are on site during operations at all times, from beginning to end.
Others have argued this law threatens the free market and is too short-sighted.
By potentially criminalizing cultivated meat, poultry, and seafood, this bill stifles innovation, limits consumer choice and free market principles, and undermines economic growth.
So in Florida, the governor, Ron Desantis, has enacted a ban on production of the sale of lab-grown meat, citing consumer safety and potential harm to traditional beef and poultry industries. As we know, like we've been hearing about startups developing methods to grow meat from animal cells without harm or slaughter. It's not very costly right now, and it's not widely available, but during the period now of kind of testing and seeing what's the best way to make it more commercially available to everybody, it's kind of strange that the governor would already ban something that's not even like widely available. So he framed the ban as a defense on local farmers and a stance against global elites promoting alternative protein sources such as lab-grown meat or insects. And obviously within the article, environmental groups and companies in the lab-grown meat sector opposed the ban, arguing for consumer choice and highlighting environmental benefits of cultivated meat. The ban has also been criticized as anti-business and contrary to free enterprise. So that's kind of what we're just going on along about, like not trusting the elites, but it's kind of strange that they flipped it to where the global elites want us to eat lab-grown meat. I don't understand. So what do you think about that part?
And now, a word from our sponsor. Are you the only vegan in your friend group? Did you see that new bulletin about the Veg Fest coming up, but you have no vegan friends to go with? Are you in a new city? Are you just tired of being alone? Get my Vegan Friend app. We're not like those other apps. We use AI and our special algorithm. All you have to do is RSVP to that event, and we'll immediately call you a vegan friend to go with. Hey Markel, are you ready to go to the festival?
They don't have turkey legs?
No, it's a vegan festival.
What the fuck I wanna go for then?
Because you're vegan? They have vegan turkey legs. There's vegan turkey legs.
Ain't no such thing as a damn vegan turkey leg.
It's 2024.
Yeah, and they ain't made a turkey in a lab yet.
Lab-grown meat.
Lab-grown meat.
Lab-grown meat.
Okay, you can have it though.
Okay, Markel. Okay. Okay, bye. Also hearing there are no guarantees whatsoever. Well, I think it's kind of like, let's just face it, like he's banning lab-grown meat because the meat industry is pissed. And they probably are funding his campaign or businesses that support his policies and whatnot. So I don't think the ban being around safety is honest. I think it's specifically because of that. But I also don't know enough yet about lab-grown meat. I know it's very new. Would I personally have lab-grown meat? Probably not, because it's still like an animal product. And at this point, like my body's just more used to the vegan products and my ancestors. Yeah, I'd have to agree with some of the pushback about it being anti-business, anti-consumerism. Let us make the decisions ourselves.
Right.
It's just hypocritical. Like you can be anti-big government on one hand, but then pro-big government on the other hand. It just doesn't make sense. Like, okay, if it's bad for us, just let us take our own accountability. Let us take matters into our own hands. And it's an opportunity to allow small businesses to grow. So yes, as a side effect, unfortunately, the meat industries are going to suffer. And maybe I'm biased in saying this, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we want. Like, it's kind of what I want.
Right.
I'm not happy about potentially farmers and people in the meat industry losing their jobs. Of course not. But my larger philosophy is that the industry that their jobs are around is not good for us. It's not good for the environment. At the end of the day, like, I don't know, maybe there's opportunity because lab-grown meat industry is growing, right? Like, so people who work in the farmers industry or the meat industry, they could, you know, there's going to be openings in that sector. So just move over to that sector.
Right. No, it reminds me just like, you know, like EVs. It took a while for, I guess, there to be like a push toward EVs. And obviously the opposition was the oil companies, right? So, and oil companies are billions of dollars and owned by cartels and all kinds of things, very powerful. And so it took a long time for EVs actually to kind of launch. And that we're seeing that now where, a lot more electric vehicles are on the road and that we're going toward that. And we have to understand that is a better future for us, although it's not for everybody right now, that it's going to lead to better results for us as humans down the road. And, there's other technological advances like AI and robotics, and that a lot of people are afraid of. And I think, once an industry is kind of established for a long time, it's kind of hard to think what would happen if that industry doesn't exist and we have to do something else. So just looking at it kind of on the economic side and the business side of lab-grown meat, like poultry, these big poultry corporations and beef cattle corporations, they're going to be concerned of wait, you can do that in a lab, and we have all these plants or ranches across the country or across the world where they have to destroy parts of the Amazon rainforest to create and all this destruction, and you can do that in a lab. They're going to be skeptical and they're going to be against that. And so it does, like you said, it makes sense for especially Florida being one of the higher cattle ranches and farmlands in the country, just to be a little bit skeptical on lab-grown meat. And like I said, I think we kind of even talked about this on a past episode. I'd be kind of skeptical on lab-grown meat, but like you said, it should be a consumer choice. Why not have chicken on the menu that's grown from a lab, and that'll be a better choice for the environment and also for animals. It's the exact same as chicken that was from an actual chicken and killed. So it's kind of strange to me to ban something before it's even readily available, and then when it does become readily available, Florida is going to be behind the curve. If they're banning it, they're going to ban sale of it. You're going to have this product that is going to be in all other states that's probably going to do better for those for other states and not for Florida. So that's weird, and that's weird to me. And so finally, last story that we are going to talk about today is in regards to the plant-based cheese controversy.
America is facing a major cheese controversy because for the first time ever, a vegan cheese beat dairy in a big competition. Oh my God, you are never going to hear the end of this from your insufferable vegan friend. The Good Food Awards is an annual competition that awards foods that are good. And in January, they announced this year's finalists for best cheese, among which was this vegan blue cheese. The vegan blue is the product of a company called Climax Foods. This was a major deal because vegan cheese, while allowed in competition, has until now never been good enough to be in a blind taste test and become a finalist. But then, just before the actual winner was to be announced, the foundation quietly disqualified the vegan cheese. And when asked why, declined to say. Then the CEO of Climax revealed that their vegan cheese wasn't just a finalist, it was set to win the award, a fact that all parties were asked to keep confidential until the official ceremony. Really? Really?
So in regards to the Climax Foods blue cheese, the disqualification was cited due to the use of kokum butter, which Climax Foods denies, stating the product contains cocoa butter, which meets Brás standards. I was kind of like, what's kokum butter? And so I looked it up. So it is an oil derived from the seeds of a fruit-bearing tree called the kokum tree. So apparently the kokum butter is approved for use in cosmetics, but it's not necessarily yet approved. It hasn't been approved for use in foods. I think based off FDA standards. So it's not necessarily that it's not edible, because it is edible. It's just not a food grade product. And so the timing of the disqualification raised questions with retrospective changes in the competition's requirements. So basically, there was some controversy with this competition before, where it kind of come out that the competition was involved with the renowned dairy producer. So it was kind of highlighting the complex relationship between the traditional and plant-based industries. Hey, we have this plant-based cheese that qualified, but because of this one ingredient, it's now disqualified. And so a lot of, the media kind of ran off with it, saying, hey, there was this cheese in this competition that won, but later when the judges found out that it was plant-based, it didn't win. With the competition saying that's not the case. We knew it was vegan when it was entered, but they somehow missed this one ingredient when the finalists were being announced, and now it's disqualified. So very, very strange qualifications and disqualifications. But at the end of the day, Well, what's your opinion on that? So, this plant-based cheese almost won, but disqualified at the last minute. And what's your reaction to that?
It is a little sketchy. You mentioned potentially a dairy producer was involved in the competition. They wouldn't have batted an eye against a vegan candidate in the past. Climax making so much noise with rising and ascending to first place, they are threatened, I'm sure. And that's how this ingredient was discovered. There's probably some random ingredients in other candidates' dishes that might be invalid as well. It just sounds very complicated. And if I was in this competition, that would be the biggest challenge for me, would be to figure out how to make sure all my ingredients were approved, because you got to kind of like read the fine print. If you and I were to enter this competition for like vegan donuts or whatever, that's all on you, man, because I can't keep up with all of that stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely like, because of, obviously it was going against non-plant-based cheeses that I guess the narrative was, because it's plant-based, it doesn't qualify. It shouldn't be in this competition. And because the competition itself is associated with the dairy industry, there was like, let's block this cheese. But like you said, at the end of the day, it was a product that maybe the makers, Climax Foods, didn't know was not in the standard, and I think they said as well that the cheese itself is not retail ready. So it's kind of like almost like a prototype sort of thing. So maybe they can rework the product and re-enter next year, or who knows what happens. But yeah, it's like, well, at the end of the day, that's their standards. But it's kind of dope that, it almost won, compared to other non-plant-based cheeses. Like it really shows like how far vegan cheeses are coming, especially when there's just like different ways you can make it. Like I think this one was made based off cashews. So so like even with that, and there's like so many other different ways to make vegan cheese as well. So it's going to really, I think, really change how people view cheese. And hopefully, with the dairy industry trending the way it is, that we start to see a little bit more competition when it comes to vegan cheeses as well in this competition. Because really, that's kind of like at the very top, I feel like it's always, we have to use real cheese and real milk and real this and real that, thinking that's going to be like the factor that turns their dish into whatever Michelin star meals. But I think us, being able to have like plant-based products and saying that these are premium, like these can compete with the top, I think that's going to change a lot of perspectives as well at the top. So it's kind of cool.
Love the positivity, Alex. Love it.
Gotta be positive. Gotta stay positive.
Gotta stay positive in here. Let us know, folks. Like, what are your thoughts on Trump endorsing this, or semi-endorsing, I guess, this vegan restaurant? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Like, what does it matter? Like, who knows? So let us know what you think about Mr. Desantis banning lab-grown meat in Florida. Is that a positive, negative? Is it going to set Florida back? Is the lab-grown meat industry going to grow? And then cheese. So the cheese competition is ruthless. What would you have done if you got banned for putting cocoa butter in your cheese?
Cocoa butter.
Would you protest, or would you put your hands up and say, you know what? You can keep your cocoa butter, or you can keep you can have your cheese without cocoa butter. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I am going to be out of the country. I will be back in a couple of weeks, and we will continue giving you more news stories and reactions, and we'll have more interviews as well with other guests. So
yeah, a lot more to come, a lot changing up different formats. As you see, we're now video chatting. You can see our faces while we're chatting. We're going to do this. We might even do some live shows where we can interact with our I almost said customers, our listeners. So kind of let us know what you're thinking of the show so far, and if there's anything you want to see us talk about. And if you actually like this news segment, somewhat hot topics, or if you want to see us talk about other topics, so let us know.
Please give us a like, subscribe, follow. You put those notifications on, and we will see you on the next one.
Peace.